Hi, everyone. Good evening and welcome. It's almost time, just 1 minute to 7 when we're meant to start this session. Welcome, everyone. Now, I do know that lots of us may have joined with our mobile devices. The session is meant to be practical. So, and that may include replicating maybe some of the things that are going to be described in the session. So if you can afford to join from your system, maybe you would be more comfortable. So I'll give you a few more minutes. Yeah, of course, while letting some other people join the session. If you would want to transit to your laptop, yeah, your tab, something that's more convenient for a practical application of what's been discussed, you may just want to do that now. But in that spirit, I would want to plead with you, please do not join with 2 devices, right? Yeah, we have more than the capacity for this meeting that's registered. So you wouldn't want to actually take a space that someone else can benefit from. Now, please, irrespective of the group or where you had seen this advert from, I want to plead with you to let them know that if by any chance in the course of this meeting, the place is filled up, you know, such people, yeah, of course, not you, you are here already. Such persons can continue with us on YouTube. The meeting is being streamed live. Yeah, it's being streamed live, so we can continue on YouTube. Join us. So we'll still have a few minutes. Yeah, we'll give you a little time, 4 more minutes perhaps, maybe at 9:05 we'll kick off. Yeah, so you can remind your friends as well, colleagues, whoever it is that you know, maybe that has registered for this session. Sometimes we can be caught up in a lot of things and yeah, could just forget that time has gone and maybe it's time for the session. My name is Peter. Yeah, I'll be moderating this session. I'm a staff in Key Points Academy, so it's my job to ensure that the session today goes well. In the course of the meeting, you may want to use the chat room. Yeah, I think our mics are actually muted, and that's to help us maintain some degree of order in the course of the seminar. If need be, we can still put it on maybe towards the end if there's need for maybe back and forth questions, clarifications and stuff. Yeah, but whether you can unmute yourself or not, you can use the chat room. The chat room is open. The chat room is open and you can use the chat room to ask questions and all. I don't know if every other person is struggling to hear me like DK, Adobe. Yeah, I don't know if others can hear me very well. Yeah, you can use the chat room, please. I think it will just be the best and most convenient at the minute. Can you guys hear me? Every other person. Perfect, Charles. Good to see you. All right. Okay. All right, no worries. I'll try to do a bit better. Yeah, I think my voice is kind of going away. I've been teaching since 9 a.m., so I'm a bit worn out, but I'll try. All right, so if you can as well, maybe use an earpiece and stuff if you have one and you can afford to do that, please, I will appreciate if you use them. Yeah. And if you can increase the volume as well on your device. But on my end, I promise I will try. I will. Okay. Yeah, so if you also don't want to join with maybe your laptop and stuff, you can still have it by the side and still continue with your phone, whatever is convenient for you. The whole idea is just the whole idea is just drawing your attention to the fact that you may want to practicalize, a few things, and that will be discussed, especially if you have not done them before, So it will be up to you. It will be up to you. Thanks, Charles. I'm happy to do it. All right. So it's a bit of about a minute, and we will kick off. It's good to see some very popular names. If I have not said congratulations to you for passing PLAB 2 before, so this is a hearty congratulations from Dr. Peter to you. I think the hard part is done. And I hope that this last phase before you get a job and resume in the UK, I do hope as well that it doesn't get any harder, than the PLAB 2 and the PLAB 1 you're already done with. So, and of course, the session is meant to help as much as possible. To minimize errors, help you package well, increase the chances that you get interviews, and of course, get the job that you do deserve. All right, so it's 9:05. I think it's really time for us to kick off. So don't forget, you can use the chat room at any time to drop a message, ask questions. And for those who are just joining in, who had announced initially that if the meeting room is full, which is gradually getting there, I'm actually looking at the number. It's gradually getting there. So if it gets full, that more people cannot join, please, they can follow on YouTube, okay, at Key Points Academy. Just check under the live section. You will see the meeting is live there as well. So they can follow from there, and of course they can ask questions. I will also try to monitor the comment section there where they can use. Jovita, good to see your face. Yeah, good to see lots of you. All right. So we will have to, maybe I'll give another 4 minutes. I should, so people can, Abdul Salam, good to see you. Good to see you. Very great, guys. Okay. So the one on YouTube will be available. We'll make it available. It will be available automatically. Actually, it will be there. It's just maybe about an hour after the session, it will boost and go live again and become available for everybody. So you can always view it over and again. So as a disclaimer and all at the very beginning, so this session is just to help with some of the basic things that we need when we want to apply, for when we want to apply for jobs, package our CVs. Some of the common challenges you can ask questions really about practically as much as possible, or anything you're having issues with at this stage, of getting applying and trying to get a job. We are not holding brief for any trusts, any organization, any agency, of course, apart from Key Points Academy, who is arranging this for free, for just as a means of supporting and giving back. So every other thing, of course, will be up to you, and we will wish you all the best at the end of the day. 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. All right, we're almost there. It's almost time. It's almost time. All right, guys. So I would hand us over. I would actually be at the background here. My friend Jethro will take us through. I think I see him sharing the screen now. So Jethro will be making this presentation on behalf of everyone. Once again, use the chat room to drop any questions and all. And then it may be an amazing thing for us to kind of hold on maybe towards the end, except there are things that are urgent that need to be clarified immediately. So otherwise, you can kind of keep the questions, if possible, until towards the end where we can interact. But if there are things that should be clarified, like at that very point, why not? You can use the chat room, drop a message, and yeah, let's have a nice time. So Jetty, good? All right, yeah, your mic is off.
Hello, can everybody hear me? Please confirm if you can hear me. All right, I'm Jethro. Some of you may know me. Good evening all, or good morning, depending on your time zone. So like Dr. Peter said, we're not standing in for any trust and the disclaimer, all of that. We're just discussing and we figured out that so many people, especially those who are starting their applications newly, so many people are on the wrong path. So many people are wasting their time trying to perfect their job applications, trying to understand how the application process works. And before you know it, 1 week turns to 2 weeks, turns to 1 month, turns to 2 months, and you still don't have a job. So you find out that our Indian colleagues, they tend to push themselves more, they tend to help themselves more to climb up the ladder. But then for us, it's almost as if you're just on your own, especially after the academy. I mean, I've been to four interviews, and there is always an Indian consultant on the panel. And I've never seen any Nigerian consultants. So I think in the past, they were ones like us, and then they were able to help themselves come up, and then they are now everywhere. The minister is also an Indian. So we decided to set this up, especially for those who have just passed their PLAB 2, probably waiting for the license, or those who have also been applying. Maybe you're just 2 weeks or a week old into applying. What are some of the things that you could be doing wrong, or some of the things you could be doing right? We're going to try to touch all of that. So we'll try to fit in everybody. And Dr. Peter, you just help me monitor the chat box for any questions that may be dropping in. Thank you very much. So I think I'll tell my own story before we kick in. So I started applying. My first application was on the 16th of November, 2022. And I got my first interview invitation 2 weeks into that, even though I think it's a fluke. I think it's a fluke because the salary was actually crazy. It was way more than what we should be earning. So I don't know how I mean, maybe my CV was what made them invite me, but then the salary was a lot. So I got my first interview 2 weeks after I started applying. And that was the only interview. It was in December, first week of December. That was the only interview I got last year. But then this year, I got 9 invitations for interviews. And I think it's largely because I tweaked my CV and how I was applying for jobs and positions. So, and when I mean 9, the last of the 9 came sometime in, I think, first week of March, if not before then. So we'll dive into the process. If you've already been applying, this may seem too unnecessary or redundant for you, but for those who just passed their PLAB2, there is no harm in trying your hands on these applications. It will help you to know the job specifications, and so that you can begin to gather some necessary material to build up your CV. I mean, I wish I knew all of these after I passed my PLAB2. I would have started building and building and building. If you're still in the UK, if it's possible to get a clinical attachment position, that would be lovely. But if you're already back in Nigeria and you're still waiting for your result, or your result is out, you're still processing your license, then you can start right here. So we're going to be discussing right away. We'll be using this outline, and then we'll start from the track job. So if you have your laptop or your tab beside you, for the new, for those who just passed the PLAB2 who have not started applying for jobs, you just go to this. It's called Track Jobs. So there are three major sites that people use. There's a Track Jobs, there is the NHS Jobs, and then there is NHS Scotland. I never got to use NHS Scotland, but some people use it. The procedure for NHS Scotland is a bit stressful. So I think that's why many people don't really apply through that. So for the track jobs, I'm going to, we'll all do this for the new one. So please, if you can just open your Google Chrome preferably, and then you just put this in, healthjobsuk.com. It's just, so go and then, oh, sorry, let me just expand this, okay? So you go to my accounts, and then you come, you put your email address here. Just type in your email address. And then you click on this. I was so lost when I started applying for jobs because I didn't even know how to start. And that's why it took me a lot of time before I started applying. So you create your account, and then you get this prompt. Okay. So after getting this prompt, you just go to your inbox. You'll see it there immediately. Go to your email inbox, you'll see it there immediately. Please, if I'm too fast, let me know. For those who have just passed their PLAB2 and are still expecting their license. So you come here, you go to your inbox, refresh. Go to your inbox, and then you have a new message, and then you click on this link. And then it brings you here. So I advise you to use suggesting a strong password. You can use whatever password you like, but I prefer to suggest a strong password. And then you fill up all of these. So your title, put your doctor, your first name, your middle name, your surname, country, type your N, scroll down to Nigeria, your address, put your address. All of these will appear on your personal information part of your track jobs application when you start. So you won't need to put it anymore. For some people, they've had to even call them via phone to offer them the job. So As we keep going down, you will see where you need to put your phone number. So you put the town, put the state, postcode if you like, mobile telephone number, home telephone number, you can put that. Preferred language, English, and then create accounts. Okay, I think something is okay. My telephone number, I put just XX. So excluding the country code, so just put, okay. And we are set. Now just go back to this, okay? So we filled the form, we've submitted, and then this is next. So now you need to sign up for jobs by email so that you can get notifications. So how it works for Track Jobs is every weekday, you get an email from Track Jobs stating all the advertised jobs that are still available for you to apply, depending on how you've filtered your search. So we're going to come right here. And then the next thing is sign up for jobs by email, enable jobs by email. So we'll just go back to that. Sign up for jobs by email. Enable jobs by email. Click on it. Then you are subscribed. So just need to move this away. So receiving emails weekly, you can just change it to daily. And then you come to your sector, medical and dental, region, UK, add region, all UK regions, save, select a major region, you can leave this as a, just give me a minute. Okay, I think you can leave that out. You don't really need to put it in. Okay. You must add one sector. So we've added one. Okay, I think it's because of this. Okay. Okay. So for this, you have the various grades according to their system. So I'll just take you back to my slide. So for the minimum grade, FY2, maximum grade, you can choose Trust Registrar or ST1, ST2. If you're already a registrar, already a resident doctor, you can go with the Trust Registrar. If you're just a medical officer, it's advisable to just stick to ST1, ST2 as your maximum. So we'll come back here for minimum, FY2, for maximum, ST1, ST2, or Trust Registrar. Then all disciplines. So after that, you select all disciplines, location, UK, all right? So we'll go back all disciplines. You save. So it's auto saving as you keep going. So we're all set. So it's usually in the morning you see the adverts. So for now, you can just close this down and wait till the following morning. Whatever pops up, you can now apply. Then we move to the next. Okay, I think we already did all of this. So when you get the alerts on your email inbox, you can now open up and see. Let me show you what it would look like. So when you wake up tomorrow morning, it will look like this. So you just open your email and then you're seeing all of these. And then you can decide on which ones you want to apply for. I didn't want to do O and G, so I skipped everything that was O and G. And initially I was skipping some surgery jobs, but then later I started applying for them. So you just click and it takes you to, so this vacancy is already closed because I wasted time. There's a closing date for the application. So I think that's because I went to a very, let's get something recent. Okay, this was sent April 3rd, yesterday. So closing dates 14th April, junior clinical fellow, you can apply for this. Clinical teaching fellow. For the clinical teaching fellows, I would not advise us to apply for them because most of the requirements are above our level. So clinical fellow, you can apply for clinical fellow. I got an interview for a clinical fellow job. So you just click on anyone, junior clinical fellow. So you can click on it. This one is also closed. So it tells you that you have to apply early and then look at the closing dates. So let's just try this 14th April. So we just click on this and then it's open. So this is how the advert looks like. So we'll come back to this. Let's go to NHS Jobs. Now this is a second portal you can use to apply. So many people don't use this one. So I'll advise us to go here a lot because there's still an element of luck in these job applications. If so many people don't apply, it boosts your own chance. So for this one, you don't need to create a portal. You just type jobs.nhs.uk like this, jobs.nhs.uk. And then you have this, okay? So you want to follow this, click on search jobs, then you now work on the filter, whatever you want to do before you search. So let's go ahead and do that. So search jobs, then you scroll. Okay, my network, sorry. Okay, search jobs, and you come to your salary, 30,000 minimum, 50,000 maximum. Check for additional filters. Then you scroll down. Now, if you're a medical officer, you can tick this, tick this. If you're a resident doctor, you can go for this, go for this. You can also tick this just in case they use a different terminology. I think there was one I applied for, they said clinical development fellow or something like that. But the medical officers fall under that clinical development fellow. So click the other, and then you come down, permanent, fixed term, full-time, part-time, and then you go down to search. And then you sort by date posted, latest first. And then you scroll down. Now, specialty doctor, older adult psychiatry. So we'll come back to all of this. So all right. So we're here. So you can now click on the job the same way you're clicking from your email inbox for the track jobs. For this one, you can now click on this. So I advise you to open in a new tab so that you don't close down this page. So you open link in new tab, and then you can okay, so this is a new tab we have here. Just re-expand this. Okay, so this is a new tab. So you continue from here. So always try to open a new tab so that you have your applications organized. That would help you to prioritize application closing date and all of that. So closing date is 21st April 2023. So this will come to all of this. So now I just want to talk about, I'll take us back to where we were, to the filter. For a specialty doctor, I advise the residents to apply for that more. The medical officers can still apply. Yeah, so this is the filter. But it's a higher role, so the interview is also more rigorous than the other foundation doctor, ST1, ST2. So you can still apply. And then somebody advised me when I did mine for this specialty doctor role, somebody advised me to ask if I could start on a junior level if I'm accepted for a job. And when I asked that, they were not smiling when I asked that. They didn't look too happy that I was asking that. I mean, why did you apply for something high and then you're asking to start at a lower position? But oh well, that's their business. So we're moving on to this. So the next one is NHS Scotland. Like I said, I didn't really use this, but you can also just Google it and then you can walk your way around it when you started with the other ones. So when you open a job, the first thing I like to do is just read through. So we'll go to our sample that we had clicked on. No, not this one. Yeah, this. So the first things I like to do is look for the closing dates. If it's way too far, I kind of leave it and I note the tab where it is, and then I go back to my inbox. Okay, remember we had clicked on this 14th April, 16th April. I click on 16th April. So what I try to do is I move the 16th April here. Oh, sorry, I didn't show you guys that. Let me expand. So what I was saying is I move the tab this way. So the 16th April comes before, the 14th April comes before the 16th April. So it just helps me to organize so that I don't miss out applying for a job before it's closed. Sometimes they just get the minimum number of applications they need and then they just close the application. So we're coming to clinical. No, I don't like clinical teaching fellow. We almost never get an interview for clinical teaching. So for a junior clinical fellow, I like to, like I said, look at this closing dates, look at salary, of course, to be sure it's within £40,000 per annum. And then you now go deep into all of this. So just read through, job overview, main duties of the job. Working for our organization is not really necessary. You can read that when you get the interview. Then detailed job and main responsibilities, you need to read that. Now, person specification, for those who are new in application, this basically means what they are looking at in your application, okay? So, sorry, I need to chunk and check. Are you guys with me? Oh, so many questions. I don't know if I should answer these questions now or if, okay, should I answer these questions now or should we go on? I can see your chats. Okay, thank you. All right, so I think 2 people have said we can answer the questions at the end. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so as for person, so specification just means what you need to, the showmanship you need to do in your application. So you have to show them that you meet for your qualification. There will be some criteria. Some job applications will put the criteria here. Some will tell you as per person specification. This as per person specification just simply means you should scroll down to here where they have the job description. In some other applications, you'll see person specification. Once you click on it, you'll see what they mean by as per person specification. So you have the qualification, experience, skill and abilities, and all whatnot. So you can just click on this. I also like to put them, so if this is the page for this particular job, I like to put the person specification just beside it, the tab beside it. So you click on job description, and then you come down here and click on it, and then it will open just beside your application. So this is the tab for the person specification. This is your tab for your application. So you may want to look at it even before you start applying, because you may not need to apply for the job. For example, okay, so here they need 2 people for the junior clinical fellow in orthogeriatric medicine, one based there, one based there. So you want to read through all these parts are not so important. Yeah, so you focus on the job description. You have to read it. There is no other way. And then this is the person's specification. So now you see essential, desirable. Essential means something that you must have, okay? For example, previous experience of working in the NHS or equivalent. Oops, sorry. Just bear with me. My light is out. So let's go on. So previous experience of working in NHS or equivalent. So now when you see this, you may or may not want to apply, but honestly, it's up to you. Personally, equivalent means Nigeria medical system too. It's equivalent of the NHS. So I'm going to apply. And then you look at the other essentials. There are quite a number of them. Now, desirable simply means something that you don't necessarily need to have, but if you have, it will give you an upper hand. So you rarely see them tick desirable, except for few things, very few things, like 18 months experience in medical specialties by time of appointment. So if you've done only your housemanship, you have only 12 months. So if everybody applying has 18 months, it means it will be a bit difficult for you. Previous experience in specialty. So basically registrars will have upper hand because of this, okay? And then it goes down. Now, if you come to the next column, this is where you have to show these criteria. So in your application, you have to state you have the GMC. In your application, you have to state that you have the BLS, ACLS, okay? In your experience, you have to state that you've worked as part of multidisciplinary team, sorry. And then in your application, you have to also state your experience of working in NHS. So that's just what the person's specification means. I want to scroll down to skills and abilities. There are some that are very particular about personal attributes. So these are the person specification. These are essential, these are desirable. So this one says ability to speak Welsh or willingness to learn. So of course, when you are filling the job, the part where you're going to talk about your personal attributes, you're going to tell them that you're willing to learn how to speak Welsh because it's under the desirable. attributes, even though, I mean, you may not eventually learn it, but as long as you're willing to learn it, that's fine. So I think we've gone through that. Let's go back to, so the main duties of the job, detailed job description, main responsibilities, person specification, and the date the application closes, okay? So like I said, you click the documents to download, you look out for PS or JD. I think in this one, it was written, sorry. In this one, what was written down here was, okay, JD. So you may just see the JD in the bracket, or you may see person specification separate, or it may just be job description. It contain both the job description and the person specification. Then once you've gone through all of these and you've seen that, okay, you have a good chance of applying, you can then apply. So to apply, you just click here, apply online now. All right, so starting your application is very easy. Are you currently, so go to the next slide now. Are you currently an employee of blah, blah, blah? Choose your immigration status, I register with the GMC, and then you continue. So you may or may not be able to move on with your application if GMC is a requirement. Some won't ask you. Let's see if this one would ask. Okay. Yeah, so do you currently hold this as set down in person specification? So yes or no. So if you're still expecting, you click no. There are some that would not require the GMC. But the point is that it will help you to begin to build your application. I wish I started before I got my license, so I would have known what to look for. So let's go back. So are you currently an employee? This one is always no. Then you, sorry, I'm rushing. Choose your immigration status. You just scroll down. Is the one for most of us, or if you still have your standard visitors visa, you click on that. But this is it. You click on that. Are you registered? Yes. You have agreed, and then you go. So this is your application. All right. So you want to start this section. You open and fill. Don't worry, we're not going to fill all of that. You see, we already filled them before, so they're already there. You just add the things you feel you need to add, like first dates for employment. So it's always good to put, like, we're in April, so you put 1st of May. Okay, 2023. And then I usually choose full-time. And then save and next. And then here, do you have any relationship? None. Save and next. And then you go to, these ones are just security questions, basically. Most times you have to click no. There was a job I clicked yes for mistakenly. I didn't even notice. So you just click no. And then you scroll back. So it keeps taking you down. So don't be confused. Just scroll back up to keep taking you down. So you scroll back up. So we're done with the personal details. You mark as complete. And then this is the application. So you start this. So these are all the things you need to fill. So you can open them on your own and just take a look while we move on. So we're past here. Yeah, so personal details, relationships, this education and professional qualifications. Yeah, so it's good to give them as much information about your qualifications here. Initially, when I used to get a lot of rejections, I used to put only my MBBS, and then I just submit. I don't know if it was working against me, but then subsequently I started giving a lot of information. when it comes to the education and qualification page. So let me just show you an example of what mine used to look like. Okay, let's start with this job. Aha, yeah. Okay, yes. So this was one of my very first applications, and all I put here was just my primaries and MBBS. I don't think it made sense because they needed to see other things at a glance. They are reviewing a lot of applications. They are probably using a search engine to look for qualifications, so they don't want to waste time. And then courses attended. I had lots of courses that had nothing to do with. In fact, I think this was maybe my second day. On my first day, I had only like 3 courses. So you need to get. They say it's a minimum of 7. So there are so many free courses. There are so many free courses. I'm going to this safeguarding adults. There is also the child safeguarding. Those are 2 very important courses you need to have when applying for pediatrics. There's no point if you don't have child safeguarding course in your courses attended. There's a free course by UNICEF. I'm going to send the link maybe after the class or in the chat. I'll put it there. This one is also technically free. I say technically free because it's a process. Initially, you need to give them a reason why you should get it free, but I'm going to of that. This one is by Health Education England, but Future Learn was the platform. So I was making a lot of mistakes. So they are used to the Health Education England as training provider, but then sorry, my network. Let me rectify my network. Okay. All right, so back to okay, we're back. So that's that for that. So I'm going to share all the free courses. BLS, ACLS, PLS, they are also free courses. And then the 2 safeguarding courses are free. There's also another free one I'm going to share. So basically, let's come back to, yeah, so subject qualification. So you want to give them as much details as possible. Now I'll show you my newer or my recent applications and what it was like. Yeah, so this was my recent application. So you just want to give them all the information. Let it not look like you didn't give them or you feel like your applications are incomplete. I mean, like the disclaimer we said, nobody really knows or nobody can assure you we're not standing in for any trust, but just like your visitor's visa, you give them as much information. So I began putting these, I put my primaries, I put my IL, my blah, 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 too. And then the MRCP for, you just put in view, depending on where you're applying for, let them know that you actually have plans. Surprisingly, in your interview, they're going to discuss about this. So somebody who puts this in view is different from somebody who did not put it at all. So please always put in view. For surgery jobs, you put MRCS, put in view. For medicine jobs, MRCP, put in view. And then, okay. So relevant training courses. Okay, yeah, let me show you my training courses. Aha. So see the training courses I put for this one. So this is free, this is free, this is free, 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 free. So some of them you need to pay to get the certification, but then if you've done the course, you've done the course basically. So nobody will ask you to present certificates for any course, but I mean, it may just pop up in your interview discussion. So it's good to know it's good to actually know the course you claim you have attended. So you can see how this is, I think this is a psychiatry job. Yes, this is a psychiatry job. So that's why you see me putting adult safeguarding, child safeguarding, young people and mental health, train the healthcare trainer. There is another clinical development fellow. So for this clinical development fellow, you'll see this thing here. I put MRCP Part A in view. I didn't put the MR Psych. And then this. So I changed this to infectious disease model 4. This is also a free course. I also try and send all the links. So it's good to also share free courses with those close to you so that they can beef up their CV. There was one interview I went for, and then we also started talking about infectious disease. So anyway, that's by the way. So we'll move on to membership of professional bodies, fitness to practice, NHS service. So let's come back to our application. So you see, you need to get up to 7. So for those who just passed their plateau, you can start now. So yeah, professional status. I have current UK professional registration relevant for this post. I have UK professional registration and license to practice for this post. There's one where license is still coming. I'm looking for that one, but I don't know. Just read through it. For those who don't have their license, there's one where you see that you're still expecting your license, and then but for those who have their license, you click on that professional body GMC, registered with license, provisional registration, no license, whichever is the case. And then you go and then provide details. If you look at your license, you see where they wrote all those restrictions with APS, blah, blah, blah. You put your number, you put the expiry date, you save and next. They will not leave me. Okay, so continue and fix later. I don't want to fill all of that now. Then fitness to practice is the next one. Mostly no. Save and next. NHS service. Here I used to put, I thought this thing meant when you can actually start the job. So I used to put a date. But then what it just means is not applicable because we've not worked there, so not applicable. Sorry. Then you come here. So this is the job. So we're done with this employer stroke activity history. So now you have to go back and look at the role or the job description and coin your employment history to fit into that. I'm going to give an example of one I did horribly, and then one that I felt I did well. Even though it was a clinical fellow job, I still got invited. So we'll go to one of my horrible applications for the employer activity history. Where is it? No. Yes, this one. In fact, I used to think, okay, where is it? Let's go down. Okay, so they say brief description. So this used to be even a lot less. It used to be very, very brief, very, very brief. So if you see how it's looking, it's just anyhow. It looks like I'm saying a lot, but it's just medical stuff, and that is it. That's the end. So you see, it's just talking about ward round, surgery, post-op, blah, blah, medical emergency, surgical emergency, teaching students, rapid focus assessments. Now, this is a more recent one. Okay. So, sorry, just give me. So you can see this is a more recent one. So specialty, I put general internal medicine, emergency medicine. This is a clinical development fellow I got invited for the interview. Subspecialty, if applicable. So this is where you're going to put all the subspecialties. Okay, just put them. Try to focus more. Let me go back to the other one so you see the mistakes I made in that one. So in fact, in the other one, I put that I was reporting to my medical director, but then in this other one, I put I was reporting to consultant clinical leads. Okay. In the other one, I put medical director. In the other one, I put because MO, you're working everywhere, both in O&G, pediatrics, you're the one manning the whole hospital. So you're tempted to want to put everything. So try to put the departments for where it's, just try to put the departments based on the job. So I'll take you to my psychiatry application. So you take a look. So reporting to clinical leads, emergency medicine, psychiatry, general medicine. Okay, that's it. Contract type permanent. Reason for leaving. Still actually planning to leave when I get the work. So I now come down, and then this is where you now begin to give a general overview. Then you talk about general medicine and psychiatry. So something that was important about the application is to look at the job description, like I said. So this is job description for a clinical fellow job. They're talking about 1 year regular hospital or community-based service at core training grade, blah, 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 psychiatry training or experience. So I have psychiatry experience. I'm working as a medical officer, but I get to see, even if it's one psychiatry patient you've seen, it's still psychiatry experience. So, and it's an essential criteria as your job description. So this is not the time where you now going to start putting all your surgery experience. Nobody needs all of that. So you just focus on all of this. So you try to look at this also. Look at them very well, because this job was to deal with, was an addictions job. So you have to work with the community, the key workers. Let me look for where they talked about it. Anyways, but it's working in a community setting. Now, we don't really do that community drug addiction and recovery setting here in Nigeria. But then all you need to do is just think about one patient where you think whatever they put here applies to. So there was one patient who had some addiction issues, and the person was okay with me discussing with the family. So we involved the family with the therapy. If you read through the job description or something, you see something where they talk about, family therapy and key worker. In fact, there was a pharmacist who was living close to the person. So we're in communication with the pharmacist and also with the patient, trying to get the patient off the drugs. So that's part of community involvement, basically, or treating patients in the community, because you are working with the community pharmacist who is close to patients. So you just need to find a way to coin it, especially when you see it in the job description or you see it in the person specification. So you want to find a way to put it either, here, or when you get down to your supporting statements. You want to put it there, okay? So we'll move on. Do I need to show any other example? Okay, let me show an example for, okay, this is also a psychiatry job. So you see the MR psych in view, and then you put all the other things for them. And the same thing, reporting to consultant psychiatrists. This was the, what they call it? Specialty doctor. Yeah, I applied for a specialty doctor. I didn't look at the salary, but it was like 50 to 70,000 pounds. Maybe if I had seen it, I wouldn't have applied because I didn't think I was gonna get it. So sorry. Okay. So reporting to consultant psychiatrist. So I stopped putting reporting to medical director because this now made more sense. So if it's for a medicine job, you put reporting to consultant clinical leads, okay? Then you go down to this, okay? So general medicine and psychiatry, you put blah, 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 emergency care. Yeah, now this is what I'm talking about. So itemize duties, okay? So when you look at your job description, you see that they're interested in putting all these things, clinical audits. In the whole of November and December, I was not putting all of these. And I used to do them, but I didn't think it was necessary because they said brief description of your duties and responsibilities. So it's not as brief as they want you to think. So you want to put all of these. You want to put all of these. You want to put this, you want to put this, you know, you have to put everything, not just the medical stuff, okay? So put every job. Initially, I didn't used to put this my surgery job. The next one was, it was a surgery job I used to do. I didn't used to put it initially, but then I now realized that it was affecting me because when I got down to where I needed to talk about teaching, talk about my audits, talk about research, there were some works I did in that previous job that needed to fall in here. So even though I'm applying for a psychiatry job, I'm applying for a medicine job, I still put my past surgical experience because it shows experience, and you can also put your audit project, you can put your research projects in there. So yeah, initially I used to put only one. So they'll ask you for a maximum of 5 audit projects in November and December. Like I said, probably that's why I got only 1 interview last year. I used to put only 1. My research, I used to put only one research that I did. I mean, I completed in over some years ago, over a couple of years ago. So I had to now start piecing together other research works that I started, both the ones I did with other people, the ones I did in my former places of work. I had to get them back up to 5. And then this management of change, I think we should go to that so you can see. So save and next, continue and fix later. So these are, if there's any gaps in your employment history, none. Welsh language, can you speak Welsh? No. This job is for a job in Wales. This one we're using for the demo, that's why it's having. So, declaration of practical experience. So this one is about the procedures, IV cannulation, under senior supervision. How many have you done? 10, yeah, 400 plus. They don't really look at all of these, I'm almost sure. But if you have very good ones, you want to put them. So you have a maximum of 8. So make sure you put all 8, please. Make sure you put all 8. Whatever you have, NG tube, fracture, reduction, put all of them, fill all of them, okay? Some jobs will require you to put in your logbook. There is an e-logbook. So for those who are in training, it would help if you fill your e-logbook so that you can upload that when applying for jobs. Once you have the e-logbook, for jobs, I will say apply your e-logbooks. Medical officers who really don't do logbooks and all that filling, you're going to definitely be ahead of them when the interview is being, when the applications are being reviewed. So describe the extent of your proficiency in all of this. So in your own simple terms, I'll show you what I wrote for mine. Okay, this application didn't have that. Where are we? Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I've been exposed to blah 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 blah. I'm open to development. All these things I don't think they're really necessary. They're really necessary, or they have so much importance because I used to put them in my old application when last year when I still didn't get interviews. So publications in journals, if you have any of these, is also very good. If you don't have, there's no harm in putting none. Presentations. So sorry for the new guys. Those who just passed their plateau, we're going to take it. So you just describe the context of this post. You also describe, like I showed you in mine. You have any relevant formal or informal teaching experience? Yes. Provide details. So I like to itemize mine. So one starts from my undergraduates. Okay. So talk about your postgraduates, you know, maybe as a house officer, you can go to 3, reg or MO. Then maybe if you have a private, like if you're a key point tutor, you know, any other thing. So you just put, it's informal, okay? And so those who are, especially if the person interviewing you is a lecturer, like one of my interviews is a professor, so he was actually interested in this part. So try not to lie, try to be able to defend what you are putting here, okay? You have particular qualification? No, but I would love to get one. Put that here. And then management of change. Do you want to highlight any changes you've personally implemented in the past 5 years? Yes. So maximum of 5 changes. Please, you have to fill this up to 5. Just try and think in the past 5 years. There's no how you will not remember some things you have done, okay? It doesn't have to be the formal audits, but something as little as introducing teaching or seminar topics or seminar sessions in your clinic. You put it here, you put it here, you know, the aim of that, the conclusions, the dates you introduced it, anything. So make sure it's up to 5. Just make sure, because every other person is putting up to 5. So try not to just have one. Like I used to have only one initially because nobody told me. So this is where you can now talk about something that, you know, so there's one in my own I used to always talk about that for every interview I went for, we used to always talk about the one that had the most value because it was something unique that I had introduced, you know, in my place. So you just brag about that here. And then the impact of that, of a change on wider members of your team, you also brag about that. Yeah, so for most of these things, you want to be using the STAR approach. I'll come back to talk about the STAR approach, okay? So please remind me in case I forget. Then research, you wish to provide, yes, the same thing. 5, please make sure it's up to 5. Make sure it's up to 5. You can start now to start preparing a research if you're expecting your license. You can start now. You must not have to publish to put them here. So make sure they are up to 5 and then summarize your main learning point. Do you have any qualification? Yes or no? If you do have, fine. Publications, yes or no? Presentations, yes. We all do presentations, even if you don't know. You probably have forgotten. I mean, we're always doing seminars, even in our little hospitals as medical officers. We're still doing seminars, so you want to put it here local. If you've gone out to give a talk to people outside our circle, you also put it, it's also a presentation, you know, national. So I'll give you, should I give you the story now or when we are done? When we are done, I'll give you a story about this presentation. Please remind me also. Somebody can put it in the chat so that we don't forget. So something that you feel is not important in your application can be what will save you at the end of the day. So that is why it is good to fill it up as much as you can. Just put it. You've gone to talk, even if it's an Instagram live, put it here. It's also a presentation, especially if it is in line with the job you are applying for. Okay. This, of course, you must have prizes or something you've gotten, even if it's in sports. Put it. I've also had to discuss one of my sports prizes here in one of my interviews. So please put it. Try to fill it up if you can. Maximum of 6. Fill it up if you can. Management and leadership experience. Please, you have to. We've all led, even as your group leader in your posting. So you have to put it because everybody is putting, everybody is writing. And then if you go to the job description, if you take time to look, you actually see that all those things are there. All those things are there. If you just need to look very well, you'll see leadership and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to waste time. But when you go through job descriptions, you'll see all of that. Let me see if I can see anyone. Okay, so able to treat, able to do this, able to that. I don't know, I'm not seeing anyone now. Sometimes when you are really going through them, you'll see them. So let's head back to this. Yeah. So please, you have to brag about 250 words. So talk about your leadership experience. You can itemize them, or you can just talk about it as a prose, in prose form. Team working, you also have to talk about this. If you go through the job description, person specification, they're always talking about team working, multidisciplinary. This is where you talk about them, okay? And then you come to your supporting information. Let me just be sure I didn't miss anything, okay? Yeah, so we're done with this. So we're done with this. So supporting information, 1,500 words. So you want to use subheadings. Initially, I didn't use subheadings. I just write it like a prose. And like I said, I got one interview in November and December, but then in January, February, I got 9 interviews. So I'm just saying maybe these were the things that made the difference. So you want to use subheadings, separate them properly, and then you want to show how you meet the person specification. This is also very important. Nobody has time to go through all the applications. So the best suggestions people have said is that they use a search engine, and then if yours pop into the search engine, from all the things you've written, you would be invited. So we'll go back to supporting information. Yeah, so I'll just take you to one of my so supporting information here. So this is my supporting information. Initially, I just used to copy and paste. In fact, I used to talk about working in all the units, be it reproductive, emergency, surgical, medicine, but it did not make any sense, especially when you're applying for a particular job. So if you're applying for a medicine job, try to keep it there. If you're applying for a psychiatry job, try to keep it there. I'll take you to a more, okay, so let's start from my specialty doctor psychiatry. So this is specialty doctor psychiatry. So I try to put, so you can see how this is properly separated, because even during the interview, they are looking at all of this. So they want to skim through, they don't want to read through everything. So make the job easy for them. So your introduction, you want to wash them, you know, but I mean, we all want to get the work there, but then you just have to say it in a more pleasing way, okay? education. So for this one, I think they asked about mental health. Yeah, so this is the person's specification for this job. So you can see desirable MR Psych. I didn't have MR Psych. Approval under Section 12 of Mental Health Act. I didn't have any of these, okay? But because it's desirable, I applied for this job and I got invited for the interview. So the resident doctors, I'll encourage us to apply for these ones. Medical officers over 3 years, there's no harm in applying for the specialty doctor roles. This is a specialty doctor role, apply for it. The clinical fellow roles, apply for it. You may just be lucky. I think on one of the group chats, somebody was saying she went for an interview for a senior clinical fellow job. She didn't get it, but then they offered her the junior clinical fellow. So they may just like you in the interview and want to help you out. So this one, okay, let's finish with this first. So like I was saying, this, I didn't have this, okay? But I had this. I work with young people with mental health problems. In fact, my first psychiatry application, that was last year. I applied for this one, I think this year also. I had to take a psychiatric course so that I can put it in my courses, okay? When we're talking about courses, in my CV. And then luckily for me, it's also talked about young people with mental health problems. So it was a plus for me because I got new information and I could point it out as a desirable experience that I have in addition to all of this. So you want to separate it for them, education, experience, talk about all you've done, your volunteer, audits, blah, blah, blah. So I'll come back to, okay, let me show you one of my horrible application. Where is it? Yeah, this is it. So it's just so much, and I didn't even separate it well. And I was just saying a lot of things that were not in the person's specification. So many things. So I tried to remove all of that and focus. So this was a clinical fellow job. Yeah. So if you can see here, I'm talking about an NGO I work with. I mean, I never thought I'm going to need to talk about it, but because the psychiatry job is a mental health NGO, I'm talking about it. Dubbing as a clinical officer, there's a blah, 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 blah. Appreciate different social and cultural factors of relevance to psychiatry practice. Now, this was already written in the person specification, okay? Talking about being able to do this because it was an addictions job. So you're going to be working with the community key workers, be working with the nurses. So this job, the salary was also 50,000, more than the 40,000 that we usually get for junior doctors. Also talking about the levels of risk, it's in the job description. So I also talked about it. So all whatnot, So it's very important to separate, show how you meet the person's specification. I think that's where did the magic for me. Let me look for another one. Yeah, this one. This one was a clinical development fellow. I saw it on, this is the one I was telling you when I'm doing the NHS. This one, yeah. You should click on other. So this other, that was how I got the invites for this clinical development fellow job. So you can see this, I'm capable to travel to meet requirements of this post, willing to respond for my relocation, blah, 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 blah. They put it here, so I put it for them too. Able to travel to meet, even though I added more, I mean, it's not like we're waiting for them to send us transport money to come to the UK. So it doesn't hurt stating that you can travel to meet requirements of this post. And this stating that you can travel doesn't necessarily mean traveling to the UK, but then there are other hospital sites to show that you can actually go there to work. So let's look at the personal qualities. So good communication skills, this, honesty, and this, willingness to undertake professional responsibilities, okay? And then if you read here, you can see that I put them, so my values are these. You include the other, I mean, we're honest as doctors. Is already here, honesty and reliability. So you want to put it that you actually have that, and then the other ones you have, and then it can be attested to by your referees, okay? And you give them why. So you just have to talk. In fact, my first application, I saw minimum of 1,500 words, so I was trying not to put so many things, but then later on I started putting all these, even my IELTS breakdown scores, because it's part of communication. The person who is interviewing you may just fall in love with some of these things. So for this particular job, this clinical fellow in addictions, I didn't get the job, unfortunately. So I didn't get the job, unfortunately. However, the professor was so impressed because he went through my application, and then he was also impressed with my interview, and then he saw that work that I presented, and then he invited me. There was a conference in Imperial College London, and he asked me if I would like to present, and then we started the correspondence and we were discussing. I prepared my slides, all of that, and then we did the conference. Conference was last month. Anyway, so if I'm going to apply for a job next time, I have an international conference I've presented in. Now, it didn't just stop there. He also recommended me for another psychiatry job because I got an invite to an interview for a psychiatry job I did not apply for. And he was always, so we're always keeping in touch, and even though I didn't get the job because the person that got the job was already resident in the UK. So sometimes we may not be so maybe disadvantaged because we're already back in Nigeria. If you're already on ground, it's easier for them to just, that may just be a reason. There's an interview I went for, and they asked me, when I told them I was when they confirmed who I was, and I told them Nigeria, they were not so happy. You see the body language. It was almost as if they needed somebody to start working ASAP, So that's that. Then your references and further questions. So this is supporting statements. This is where you need to talk, convince them. So yeah, let me also talk about, so there's a hematology. I didn't put my hematology. Sorry. There's also another hematology job that I got invited for the interview. I wanted to show you the clinical experience I put there. So I tried to tailor my clinical experience. So we have an apheresis machine. So I tried to talk about my clinical experience in my supporting statements, even in my job description. I tried to talk about the apheresis machine, the unique nature of us having it, and what we do with it, my role, you understand? And I got invited for the interview because it was a hematology job. Of course, I was reporting to a consultant hematologist in my employer history. When they ask who are you reporting to, I said consultant hematologist because it's a hematology job. So there's no point saying you're reporting to the CMAC or you're reporting to. So even if you're doing a particular posting, as long as when you were doing that particular job that has to, a particular posting that had to do with that job, who you are reporting to, that will make more sense to that role, is who you should be putting. I hope I make sense. If not, I'll go over that when we get to the end. So yeah, so these are some of the tips. So for application, please use a laptop, preferably Chrome. That's what I use. It helps you to organize your tabs. So you can have you organize them by dates. Okay, so you can have the ones that the applications are closing sooner. You have them here, then you have the other ones. You just open your tabs because there are so many, the applications will actually choke you. So just keep the tabs. So you organize your tabs by application closing date. So you can try to apply. Some of them will just close. Some may open today, tomorrow they've closed the job. So when you're having difficulties, so many times I remember when I started applying for my track jobs, I'll just be trying to move forward and then it will be showing me error. And then I was stuck for like an entire day. I just closed it and I left. So you just need to refresh. And then this is what's going to show you most of those times. You're going contacting the server, you just refresh and then, because you'll be trying to go next, and it's not going, so you just refresh. And then please try to apply every day, especially weekends, those ones that you, in your tab, okay? Those ones you've kept that are expiring later. Try to use the weekend to clear them off, okay? So try to apply every day. Some people have applied for 500 jobs, some people have applied for 700 jobs. Okay, it's not as if you're toiling it's not as if you're toiling too hard, but you may actually reap the benefits. One of my colleagues started applying even before we got our license, and in our circle, she was the first to get a job, even though she had very limited experience. But because she started early, so she was observing her errors, improving on her applications, you know. She had lots of applications, but she got a job early. So prioritize those closing sooner. Take note of different application formats to help save time. Yeah, so in track jobs, there are 3 formats. So you've seen how this one is, okay? Click and save. All right, so we've done this, okay? We're done with the supporting information. Save and next. Sorry, just give me a minute. Okay, state your GMC registration. I have passed PLAB 2. So for those who have not got their license, not applicable. Not applicable. Not applicable, like that. This one, yes. This one, yes. This is NYSC basically. No, some of the jobs don't have all these things. This one, yes, okay. Are you currently employed? No. Most of the jobs don't have all of this. So you just fill it up and then fill the ones that applies to you. I think it's for the job in Wales, they tend to ask all those questions, and if you want your interview to be held in Welsh. So this, no, where are we? Okay, we finished the references. Okay, let's just rush for those who are new with us. So they may not allow us to finish this until we clear all of this. But you just mark as complete, and then you come to your references. I hope you can start it. Okay, yes, we can start this. So you want to fill, so you start now to also contact your references, people that, sorry, network. So, so you start now to talk to people that can serve in for you, okay? Just put the name, put blah, blah, blah. I mean, this one is self-explanatory, so you just fill it up. It can be any doctor, basically. It can be any doctor. Preferably somebody who has worked with you, because there's a place you need to click supervisor or something. But it can be their personal email or their work email, okay? So this, yes, okay. So the period this covers, yeah, so I just like to put this from when you knew the person, month and year, then till maybe, so today is 4th of April, so I'll just put April 2023, okay? Then you add another one. So you just put your 3 referees, either a private email or a work email. And then, okay, yeah, so back to this. So yeah, so like I was saying, there are 3 formats. I think it's Guy's and St. Thomas, or is it? Yeah, so there's a trust, Guy's and St. Thomas. I think their own mode of application is different, because what will happen is when you want to apply again, okay, let me show you what I'm talking about. How do I do that? Just give me a minute. So sometimes you may want to apply again. I need to submit this application, but I can't submit it. But when you want to apply again, when you start this process, at this stage, sorry for the old guys, oh, I'm dragging you back, but I wish somebody did this for me. It would have saved me so much time. Yes, so when you click on the job in your email, like for a second job, we finished that one, so we've submitted. When you click for a second job, okay, you click on apply now, you get here, you currently this, you click all of this, okay? When you click on continue, there'll be an option to choose the former CV or the former application which you just did, okay? So you just select, I think the one we just finished now was university, what trust was that? Okay, and you're in Bevan University Health Board. So you're going to see that it's going to pop up. Sorry. Okay, so you're going to see that that's former application you just finished, asking you if you want to use that. So you click on yes. So, but then the more you keep applying, you now have like 20 suggestions, which one you want to select. So if you have a previous hematology application, that's the one you're going to click on. If you have a previous psychiatry application, that's the one you're going to click on. Now, some of them have different formats. And if you click on one, instead of it to autofill, by that, this is what I mean. So for example, this, just assume this is another job. And I selected this and you're in Bevan to replicate as the CV. So it's going to come like this. Everything I've typed will just appear. Everything I've typed will appear. So all I need to do is just go through it, go over it, starting from here, okay? Go over it, edit what you need to edit. Like for example, first date available for employment. Because if what you selected, maybe the one we applied before was last year, you want to update your first date available for employment. You want to update, just edit job description. Yeah, so here, sorry, not job. No, it's not. So yeah, you want to look at this. Basically, you're looking at everything. So edit this to suit training courses. You want to edit your training courses. If you're importing a former psychiatry application for a current general medicine application, you want to edit the 7 courses that will make the cut, because only 7 courses you can put here. And then I'm looking for employment history. I don't know where it is. So for the I had there. So for employment history also, you want to edit it. So, but then there is a type of there are some trusts that when you start to apply, if you click this and you're in Bevan University application for it to replicate, it's not going to give you everything. Meaning that you have to start typing everything afresh. You have to start typing your employment history. You have to start typing all these things, which is tiring, very, very tiring. So I think it's Guy's and St. Thomas. I can't really remember, or Bats Trust. Just take note of these two. One of them, they have a different format compared to this one we just did. You'll notice that the courses are coming before the qualification, or the employment is coming before the qualification. It's just arranged differently. So you can select the one that looks like what you want to apply for. It will help you save time and then you can move on. Otherwise, you can go to your former job application on another tab. Okay, you just copy, Control C, you go to here, Control P, but that will take a lot of time. So that's what I meant by the different formats. There's a third one where you have to write a personal statement before you start applying. That's also a third format. There are some, you have to answer some questions while applying. For example, tell us about the time where you showed leadership qualities, okay? So remember, we had already talked about leadership and teamwork in one of our applications. So you just bring that to that place where they're saying, tell us about the time, and tweak it. So attend free courses so you can, improve on your CV. In the UK, they don't joke with safeguarding. So we should all try to do the adult and the child safeguarding. Then start now to organize your audit and research work. Make sure you're putting up to 5, and make sure it's something you can also talk about, especially if you get called to the interview. Okay, and then the interview. So for the interview, my first interview, I'm a very jovial person. So my first interview, I don't even think I prepared for that interview. I didn't prepare for the interview. So I just went there. It was a psychiatry. That was one that the salary was so unbelievable. I don't know why they wanted to pay me £2,000 per week. I don't even know how I made the cut. Because how are you paying me £2,000? It's 2,000 or £3,000 per week. Anyway, so I didn't bother reading. So I didn't research, the trust. So when I just saw you have to also, I didn't put that one here. Please, for the interview, go and open your Microsoft Teams. Practice with somebody. Okay, look for a friend, open your Microsoft Teams, generate a meeting, third person generates a meeting, you try to join in, just make sure you practice, because my first, I think, that particular one, my camera app was open, so they could not see me. And then before I could, but they have IPS, so, they were patient with me. I was trying to, I went out, I rejoined, until I now noticed the camera was on, so I had to close it. And then we now started. So, all those things just affect your confidence, it affects your flow, it affects their judgment of you. So you want to make sure you accept, network, noise, all of that. You don't have to put on a tie if you don't want to. So you want to research, trust the job and the panel. I think I'll focus more on the ones that went well and not the ones that didn't go well. So the ones that went well, I knew the people, I saw the names of your interview, in your email for the interview, you see the doctors that are going to interview you. So you can even Google them, see what they're into, see their names, see their faces. Because I felt much more comfortable when I did my interviews where I already knew the doctors. I don't know how, but it was now like they were already my consultants, and they talk to me, address them by their first name. So, I was just calm talking to, especially the one who invited me for the conference at Imperial College. So it was a job on addictions. So I had to also research. I researched the trust. I had to research the job. So the job was I researched where the site. So I had family there, you understand, because it also came up when we're talking about social talk, basically, me and the consultants. So the job, the addictions job, even though we don't really do so much when it comes to addictions here in Nigeria, but I was invited for the interview, so I had to up my game. I tried to talk to some people who are actually in psychiatry, but it's not as if we don't use the same medications that they use over there. Most times here, they just restrain the person, give normal saline, and wait for the drugs to wear off. But then you have to know the proper thing, okay? The methadone and the rest. And then like the one I told you guys, I was working with the family, the community, the NGO, the mental health NGO. So I had to, it was when I was reading about the job, I saw what the doctor would be doing. So it made more sense during the interview when I had to now talk about what I was doing when it came to psychiatry in my place. It's not as if I see a million psychiatry patients because I'm not a resident in psychiatry, but for the ones I saw or the ones I see, and how I manage them in line with the job description, I try to describe it along that line. So yeah, so the panel, so since I already saw the names and I'd seen them, I was just more comfortable, you know. And one of them, I think, was also a lecturer, so I had to also talk about the fact that I like teaching, you know, and then you just see that little smile from that person. Because so these are the common questions, you know. There's a book, or if you check there's this Telegram group, registration and job hunt Telegram group, you'll see so many materials on preparation, but these are some of the common questions. So talk about yourself. So it's good to rehearse this, you know, be confident when talking so that you can, some people, there's a funny story. So people say they type it on Microsoft Word and then put it on the background of the Teams, because we usually use Teams for the interview. Some people use sticky notes. So you sometimes will tell you, most times will tell you to talk about yourself. They can tell you to talk about your employment history necessary to the role. So like for this addictions job, I had to talk about this. You understand? And it's not really a common practice to be doing addictions, working with the family, working with the community, as it was painted in Nigeria, as it was painted over there. But just those two cases I had, you know, done was able for me to talk as if I have done such with, you know, so many people. So if you know about this, when you need to talk about it in your interview, you will not appear clueless. Then sometimes they will ask you to talk about a clinical scenario, either as a dialogue or for you to just talk like a viva. Then personal qualities, so they can tell us about a time where you showed leadership qualities, tell us about the time. Yeah, so if you go to your job description, so for these personal qualities, those personal qualities in your job description, sometimes, so you can see job criteria, interview. What this means is that during your interview, they may want to test this criteria, okay? So the personal qualities that they say they'll test during their interview, or the skills and the abilities that they say they'll test during the interview, you want to look at those personal qualities, because that's what they may now ask you. Okay, tell us about a time where you did this. So the STR approach is, can I even remember it now? The situation, all right? Sorry, I'm hypoglycemic. The situation, that's what, just a brief preamble about what was going on. It came into my head and it left though. The task, okay? Then the action, the task, that's what you had to do, you know. The action, that's what you did. Then the results, okay? So this, like I said, there is also a type of application where you're going to talk about your leadership ability. So use this approach also. So the same thing in interviews. You have to use this approach. Sorry, I have to take this very, very important call. Give me 30 seconds. All right, sorry. So where did we stop? Yeah, so personal qualifications. So there are a lot of them. If you go through that registration and job hunt group, you'll see all of them. Just try to rehearse them. Then your research and audits. So try to also on the book, you'll see how to, all the things you need to know about your audit. So know your research, know the audit, just in case they pick interest. Your clinical presentation, the presentation I did on discrimination of mental illness in Nigeria, that was the one that they picked interest in. And that was what I talked about at the psychiatric conference at Imperial College. And they asked me about it in my interview, even though I didn't get the job, but at least I was still referred to another job who sent me an interview, and then I still got to go for the conference. The consultant is still in touch with me. You know, he still wants me to come and do residency in psychiatry and the good medical practice. You also need to know about that. Then they'll ask you when you want to resume. My first interview last year. So when they asked me, so I didn't prepare for anything, basically. When they asked me when do I want to resume, I told them in a month's time. But then I think I shouldn't have said that. So subsequently, when they asked me when do I want to resume, I just told them as soon as possible, you know. So yeah, I think that brings us to the end of everything. I hope I was able to, like I said, this, for me, this was targeted more for the new guys so that they don't make the mistakes I made. I just felt like I wasted 2 months. I felt like I wasted 2 months applying for jobs, and I didn't get anything from those applications because I didn't have anybody's CV to go through, and I didn't have proper guidance. So that's why we felt we should put this together. So for the old guys, if you have any comments, you can also put that in. And then we'll go over the questions now. But before that, Dr. Peter, I don't know if there's anything you have to add. So I'll stop sharing. Dr. Peter, are you there?
All right. Yeah, well done. I was struggling a little bit to unmute myself. Okay. Yeah. So thank you so much, Jesse. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's like been an amazing summary. I listened all through. I think you mentioned something about teaching clinical fellow. Not applying and all, yeah. So I think so please just look at the job requirements, you know, irrespective of what the title is. Yeah. Okay. So I know there are people who have gone into teaching clinical fellow jobs directly. And also it depends on your personal experience and what you have been doing. So, you know, one would not assume that everybody is just a post NYC. There are people who have been years and stuff. Yeah. So maybe able to meet up. So just check the job requirements, and yeah, if it's something that looks like what fits your experience, and yeah, please just go ahead, irrespective of what the title looks like. Yep. So I think that's just that. Yeah, we can just go ahead. You can go into the questions, look through the chat, and
all right. So let's look at the questions. Some can apply. Okay, that was a comment. What does clinical fellow mean? Is that specialist level? Okay, so some applications will say, maybe Dr. Peter will also throw some light. So clinical fellow, it can be junior clinical fellow, it can be senior clinical fellow. So we'll just leave it at clinical fellow. They have so many, basically, yeah, they are non-training job. The non-training job chunk in the UK has so many names. They call it ST1 specialty trainee, ST2, ST1, ST2, junior clinical fellow, trust grade doctor, just so many names. But the most important thing, like Dr. Peter said, is to go through. You see some of them will tell you it's a non-training job, so you can actually apply. You can apply for the senior clinical fellow, especially if you have more than 2 years experience, medical experience. Yeah, you can apply for a senior clinical fellow, and you can actually get the job, or they can offer you the junior clinical fellow. So there's no harm in applying for the clinical fellow. Like I told you, you can still apply. The clinical fellow, like I said, I got the interview. I didn't get the job because I wasn't on ground. Then the specialty doctor, I think when I saw the salary for the specialty doctor, I was wondering how they invited me for the interview. The interview also, it just looked like they were surprised to see me, for me to say I was in Nigeria. So I don't know anyways. So you can still apply for those jobs, especially the resident doctors, those more than 2 years, apply for the senior clinical fellow, apply for the specialty doctor positions. Once you have the experience and you're confident at starting at that level, please apply. What was the maximum grade, please? Okay, for the maximum grade, I said for medical officers, or if you have maybe like 2 years, maximum grade can be ST1, ST2, or you can go as high as trust registrar, or you can even go higher than all of that, depending. Oh, sorry, I've stopped sharing. Okay, so you can go, I'll resume the sharing if I need to. So you can go higher than that, depending on your preference. Okay, so let's go for the next question. Can you suggest websites we can take these courses? Okay, let me see if I have, maybe I can just copy and paste here, but it's going to take some time. But Dr. Peter, how do you want to do it?
Yeah, I think we can collect all those relevant things, links and stuff you want to, and maybe by the time we do round up, I'll drop a link for people to kind of throw in their emails and
it's
so.
Okay. So most of us have the BLS, the ACLS, the PLS, but there's a free online course for that. The child safeguarding, adult safeguarding, very important. The infectious diseases from Johns Hopkins University is also free. The University of Groningen, mental health in the young is also free. Train the healthcare trainer, which is a good teaching course, is also free. It's timed, so you have to try and finish it. And then if you have the money, you can pay for the certificates. But the most important thing is to do the course, so you can include it. And then, okay, I think that's, research is not big in Nigeria. How do we get past that? You can start now. You can start now. You can even go to your own lab in hospital, or you can call the scientists. If you have an IT person in your lab, I did a research while applying for jobs. I did a research on hepatitis. So you can start now, contact your IT person in your office, in your hospital, to get some data from your lab, look at it, or you can even go to the lab, look at the data, do a mini research in your own office, you understand, your own hospital. You can even from that institute a change. So before you know it, you have 1 or 2 research, 1 or 2 audit works that you can use to fill up. Even though we're not, yeah, it's true, in Nigeria, research is not that big in some places. Please don't forget to send the links for the courses. I won't forget to do that. Can you briefly go over the management of change portion of the CV? Okay, management of change. Let's go to that. Sorry, let me resume sharing. Dr. Peter, can I resume? Thank you. Sorry. Okay, so management of change. That's here, right? No, not here. Okay, it's not showing on this. Okay, I know what to do. Let's open it again. It won't work. Management of change. Anyway, so the change starts with this, okay? So you want to highlight the 5. It starts with this basically. So you want to highlight the 5 audit projects you've done or change. Like I said, it can be something, any change at all. Any change at all. You just need to put it together. It must not be the published audit works, like when you look at some of our colleagues' published audit work. So anything you've done, you need to put it there, make sure it's up to 5. Then the one you're talking about, I don't know why I can't see it. I know I won't be able to see it now because we've started editing. Okay, let me do something. Save. Sorry, just give me a minute. Okay, I think we should be able to go to that place, edit. So management of change, yes. So this is it. So add to the top, okay? So description of change. I'm going to look for one of my own and show an example, okay? I'll just stop sharing briefly and then look for one of mine and show you an example. Okay. Okay. Sorry, just need to. Okay. That's fine. So let me resume sharing so you can see. Share screen. Okay, so this is it. So description of change, this date, this aim, conclusion. Okay, so this is an example of how to put your this thing. Description of change. Of course, you can add more information, maximum of 50 words for the conclusion and actions, however. And it can even be better than this, okay? I think this one was from when I was even starting my application, when I had like only 2. So I hope that answers our question. If not, just type it. So when I get down there again, when I get down to that chat, I would try to elaborate. So let's go back to the questions. For someone doing residency in ophthalmology, how can the person tailor the job description to be attractive for other jobs, seeing as they aren't many junior level jobs in ophthalmology? Okay, well, like I said, I'm sure in ophthalmology, they also do rotation, and you also, you're on call for emergency. So and you also see patients who are not only ophthalmology. If you're on call on the ward and they call you, you have to see. So you can just put, just like I put in my own, general medicine, ophthalmology, emergency medicine. So you can even state things from the past that you used to do under general medicine, under emergency medicine. And even if you're doing only ophthalmology, you're still on call, in casualty call, you're still on ward call. So you can still fit in those things. You can decide to be silent on the ophthalmology if it's a non-ophthalmology job you're applying for, or you can choose to talk about it. I personally don't think it would be wise to talk about it because it will look as if you are going off trail. So I'm a medical officer. When I go for my interviews, they keep saying my primaries in public health, So for the psychiatry job, one where I got the clinical fellow, the interviewer was like, oh, public health is close to mental health. So we'll be glad to have you join us. So even when I told him I got the job eventually and it was not psychiatry, he was sad. But he was like, that he's sure I'll still come back to psychiatry later on. So I should let him know. So I don't know if that answers the question. Chisom Chukwu Nonye. If not, please just type and I would go back to that. So basically, I think it's better to be silent on the ophthalmology part, except maybe it's an ENT or a head and neck job, and you can apply. Also for maxillofacial, please try to also apply for the maxillofacial surgery jobs. I know somebody who got interview. Sometimes we tend to leave it for the dentistry or the dental surgeons to apply for, but we can also apply for them. I know somebody who got an interview for that. Thank you very much. Is it the same approach for NES and RMO? Because mention something about presentations. Okay, so for NES and RMO, I did not apply for NES and RMO. I personal preference. In fact, what I was planning to do was to go back for a clinical attachment, which is the next step I need to talk about. So in the beginning, we talked about why we started this whole thing. It's because we have very few of them, and we noticed that we don't tend to help each other. We don't tend to help one another. You see, my job, when we're discussing on the WhatsApp group, somebody was saying that she did clinical attachments in that trust. And her references are from that trust. And then you now look at the rest of us that were here in Nigeria struggling for a job with somebody who has done clinical attachments already there in that trust. So speak to your colleagues about possibility of clinical attachments, especially if you're still in the UK. Talk to your colleagues who are already doctors in the UK. Let them talk to their consultants. I spoke to my friend who works in Hull. There's somebody that applied for clinical attachments last year, June, for Hull. The person applied through the website and followed the process, and the person was called to start the clinical attachments just in December. I went on the site, it showed that they had not started accepting clinical attachment slots. So I spoke to my friend who is already a doctor there, and then he spoke to the consultants, and the consultants told me to forward my CV, and I sent my CV, and the consultant replied me and said, yes, that she would like for me to do clinical attachment, and she copied the HR into the mail, you understand? And then the HR was delaying, so I had to mail the consultants, and then the consultants spoke to the HR, and then in 5 minutes, the HR got back to me with all the documents I needed to start the clinical attachments. However, if you go to the site, you'll still see that you cannot do clinical attachments. So, you find out that for the Indians, they tend to help themselves. I didn't know it was that easy to get the clinical attachment, but I actually hear some people say it's difficult getting, just like the person I told you that took about 6 months before she was able to start her clinical attachment. But from when I sent my CV to the consultants, NHS mail, to when the HR replied me was about a month. So I could have gone to start my clinical attachment. So that's that's what I wanted to do until I got the job. Then for the question on plus, you mentioned something on presentations. I hope I've covered what I mentioned on presentations. Mojo Lao Lua Ogunlesi. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrongly. So for presentations, please put all 6. Could you resend the subheadings of your supporting statements? Yes, I'll do that. The subheadings, let me look for the one that they invited me for the interview. So it depends on the person specification. You can add or subtract. So I have my introduction where I talk about myself, why I want to apply, the post, the trust name. I try to mention their name. Then qualifications stroke training, where I talk about my MBBS, my PLAB 1 and 2. If you have your primaries, or I remember our primaries is equivalent to their own. I like to see it that way. It's equivalent to, that's why I always try to mention my public health primaries. And the beauty of public health is that it cuts across everywhere. So I always like to mention it because I see it as equivalent to MRCP or MRCS. So anytime they are saying MRCP or equivalent, I always put my own primaries there. So qualifications and training is the next subheading. Then clinical experience and skills, teaching skills. You may or may not put teaching skills, depending on if the person specification is big on teaching skills. But I think you should put it. Then research stroke audits, then management, then personal qualities. I remember what I said about personal qualities. Always try to put your English and then put that you're capable to travel to meet the requirement of this post. You're willing to be responsible for your relocation and living expenses, blah, blah, blah. So those are the subheadings for the supporting statements. The next question is, do we have to have an opening statement in the supporting information? Do we have to have an opening statement or just go directly? Oh, please have an opening statement. That's the introduction, like I talked about. What would be the best position for those senior medical officer with up to 10 years experience? Yeah, so you can start from the FY2, like I put in the slide, from the FY2 minimum, maximum, just go through, maximum, you can go for as much as a registrar. If you feel you're comfortable in that field, you can go for specialty doctor. You can go for senior clinical fellow. Hi, what do you mean by audit work? Okay, I think I've answered that question. I showed you my own audit that I did for the electronic medical records, yeah? Yeah, so please, that's what audit means. So any other change you've instituted in your own place. Can my final year community health project count as research? Yes, it can count as research. Please, you can put it. If you're silent in your specialty, what will you then put in the specialty box? I think I mentioned my specialty. For most of them, you see general medicine, emergency medicine. So that gives, I mean, we're all doing general medicine, whether you like it. We're all doing emergency medicine, whether you like it. So I put general medicine and what do you call it? Emergency medicine. Then in the subspecialty, and I'll try to list, because you see some gastroenterology jobs, you see some hematology jobs, you see some endocrinology jobs. So in the subspecialty, you want to put all of them. Then when talking about your employment history, some of the clinical conditions you manage, you try to put the ones peculiar to that job. Okay, I think we're done. Is there any other question? If there's any other question, please type. I think that should be all for now. Dr. Peter, any questions from your side? None? What do you advise people to start? Yeah. Why do you advise people to start applying for jobs even without GMC license? Yeah, because it will help guide you. Like I said, my own process was rookie, yeah, because I didn't know a lot of things. So that's why I decided to target those who are just starting, so that it will help to increase your chances. You don't get frustrated. So many people get frustrated and even depressed, you know, and then they now start going for the private, that's the NES and the RMO. So that's why I advise people to start applying. You may not get in, but you begin to understand how to tailor your person specification, your job description, and then you learn how to use the websites. So let me see. Please don't forget to send. Okay, I won't forget. Because they may ask during interview. Yeah. They may ask you during interview. That's why there's a place. I don't know if you saw where we're. That's Genevieve. There's a place where we're filling the form. There's a place where you can say, I just passed PLAB 2. So you tick on, I just passed PLAB 2. You may not get invited. But like I said, it's just to help you see so that you can know that, okay, I have only 2 audit works. I should get more. I have only 3 research works. I should try and get more. Please, can you explain this membership of professional bodies? I think this is the part where they're talking about if you're, I think that part is for us is nothing. Let me just check. Sorry, give me a minute. Let me check membership of professional bodies. Okay, that's the place where you use when they say indicate your professional register. Let me share my screen. Sorry, let me share. Dr. Peter, please let me share my screen briefly.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so this is it. This is the membership of professional bodies. I have UK and license price for this post. Registered with license. That's it. I hope that answers your question. Okay, somebody is also answering that. If the person is invited before the license is out, yeah, you tell them now. You ticked it there. That's Genevieve. You already ticked it there that you have clap 2 only. So I think that's all the question we have there. So another new message. In the interview, is it okay to start with your personal qualities or work experience if asked to talk about yourself, which is the better flow? Well, there's no rule for that. I prefer to introduce myself, briefly talk about my medical school, the fact that I have an MBBS, basically, jump to my jump to my work experience, because most times they'll even tell us about yourself and then focus more on your work experience. So you should try to focus more on the work experience. Every other thing should be brief. And then in the work experience, you want to talk about where you're working, your role, the things you do, trying to say it to fit with the job description that was put in the application. Because remember, in your person specification, they told you that they would assess some of these things in the interview. So you can now, and if you've researched on the panel, if you've seen maybe one is an infectious disease specialist, you can talk about the fact that you are interested in that specialty if it's something you're interested in, okay? So how do we navigate the last day? Okay, all those things are not applicable. Just click not. For Oluwatobi, they are not applicable. So I'll send the links to Dr. Peter. I think how many did I mention? 6, yeah? The ACLS, BLS, PLS, safeguarding courses. Okay, there are more than 6. So I'll send the links. So that will be all for now. If there are no more questions. Sorry I took so much of your time. What's the advice for someone? I think I saw a question. What's the advice for someone who is doing 2 jobs together in different fields, MO job and public health job? Okay. Because we're applying to hospitals, I think you should put your MO job. Put your MO job. Your public health job can now come in for special scenarios like presentations, research, audits, when you need to also talk about your skills. I mean, public health job, if there's an infectious disease job you're applying for, you can now talk about that in the supporting statement where you're talking about your skills. You can now talk about what you do in your public health job that supports that infectious disease job you're applying for. Otherwise, I think you should be silent about it if you're applying for just the regular hospital jobs. Okay. I think that's all. If there's no other question in the next 2 minutes, Dr. Peter, I think we can say there is none coming.
All right, guys. Yeah, JC, thank you so much. These guys have sapped your energy, obviously. Did you have a taste of what I get to see practically? All right, so thank you so much. Guys, if you check the chat room, you will see the post seminar survey. I just posted the link. Yeah, so you can use the link to fill your overview and assessment of this session. So the email address that you fill in that survey is what we're going to use to send the resources that have been promised. Yeah, so I will appreciate if you fill that survey now. So maybe we'll give about 24, 24 hours. Yet, is it good?
Yeah, it's good.
Maybe 24 hours perhaps. Yeah, and then perhaps we'll close the survey and then pick all the emails that have been filled and send the resources across to you. So thank you so much for making our time to spend the evening with us. And thank you so much, JT.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Cheers. Take care.
Yes. Oh, yeah. One more thing. I hope you've not cut it.
No.
All right. So please, we should always try to help ourselves. Okay. I mean, I was not happy when I went for all the interviews, and I'm not seeing any Nigerian on my interview panel. I was not happy at all. So we need to help each other. You know, share materials, all these free courses. Share them with your colleagues. You know, there's no point in keeping all the information to yourself. It's just that my CV has a lot of private information, so I cannot just upload for everybody. But even while doing the whole lecture, I've still shown a lot of information. But try to ask people who have gotten interviews to share theirs with you if they know you on a personal basis, so that we can, and then your colleagues over there in the UK, they can also take a look at your CV if you want to consider the clinical attachments. Those who are going for the exams, they can try their luck to do a clinical attachment, even if it's for a week or two. It will boost their chances of getting a job. Somebody went for a clinical attachment, she applied for a job, she was not sent the interview link, but when she went for a clinical attachment, they now called her for the interview for a job she had applied for, and she got the job, obviously. So anybody who is going for PLAB 2, let the person consider doing a clinical attachment. If they have any friend they are staying there with, let the person talk to their consultants. I told you my own personal experience. It was not on the website. You can't apply for clinical attachments, but it took the consultants to just call the HR, and they furnished me with all the details I needed to come for my clinical attachment. So let's try. So many other people do the clinical attachments when they go for their PLAB 2. So I think it's a route we should try to encourage those we know to take, so that it will boost our chances. That'll be all for now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Once more, JT. Thank you so much. All right, so I want to wish everybody a very good night rest, and all the best with the rest of the hustle. Yeah, so don't forget to apply back to back. There's no one role that is designed for you alone. There are a whole lots of people who are also hustling and struggling for the roles. So apply as much as you can. Ensure you apply every day. Yeah, and just keep doing it. I'm sure one and even maybe many more would actually click for you. So all the best, everybody. Do take care. The video will be available on YouTube. All right, so look for Key Points Academy. You can subscribe to the channel if you want. I also encourage you, because you have passed PLAB 2, I'm sure there's a whole lot of people who would listen to you. What was your experience and stuff like that. So Key Points Academy is always here, very supportive, and help people with the PLAB 2 journey. And now we're delving into some post PLAB 2 things like you are benefiting now. So I wish you all the best. Do take care, and bye now.